that time of day when we get rainbows. Ooh. Hello everyone, it's your fairy godmother Mint, and welcome back to the Mint Coven. Thank you guys so much for all of your sweet messages and comments on my last video. Yes, a silver play button has been acquired. I'm very excited about it. Oh, I am wearing this lovely necklace that I absolutely adore. These are from Aster Croft, and they're so beautiful. I love anything that has like leaves or, you know, like plants, flowers that are like in resin or in glass or anything. I think it's so pretty. I love that, and I'm obsessed with this set. Anyway, speaking of plants and being trapped, I mean, not really. Today we're going to talk about my favorite of the earth elementals. My favorite? Okay, you know what? I'm not gonna pick favorites. Just ones that are very close to my heart. Gnomes. Remember in the 90s when gnomes were so popular? Everything was gnomes. Gnome socks, gnome shirts, like gnome whatever. It was such a huge trend, and that trend is actually like a part of history because gnomes were so popular that they had this thing that kids were doing where they would steal someone's garden gnome and then like send them a picture of the gnome being like, I have your gnome, you know, if you want your gnome back, like a ransom situation. Like, it was a funny, like, silly thing that kids did in the 90s. Like, what? Like, that was their fun. Stealing gnomes. Honestly, wholesome. That's like a bit of wholesome tomfoolery, I'd say. One of my favorite things about gnomes is that they're one of the only members of the Fae realm that are always kind, and they are always in situations with humans where they are helping or, you know, just like living alongside very peacefully, offering their services and things of that nature, which is just a nice sort of thing because any other type of fairy, not any other, but lots of other types of fairies, they don't have the same kind of sensibilities that we do, and they don't have, you know, they can't be arsed to talk to or hang out with or be bothered by humans at all. They dislike us so much. But gnomes are classically one of those members of the Fae Kingdom that are kind to people and are very shy, very fearful of us because we're crazy and we burn things and we're nuts. But gnomes do have this like really beautiful wisdom about them where they see us as children. You know, they kind of see us as these children who are just like wobbling, taking our first steps at life. Our life, you know, our lifespan is so short compared to theirs, and they just see us as these like big dumb babies that are trying, and I think that's sweet. So the origin of the gnome comes from a Swiss philosopher and also physician. He's also a theologian. He was also an alchemist. He did everything basically, and he described gnomes as being like the original or the main earth elemental. He described them as being short, not tiny, like, you know how now we have all these cute little tiny garden gnomes. They're short, like shorter people, probably like 2 to 3 feet, mostly male, although there are female gnomes as well. But when you had any kind of experience with a gnome, people would describe them as being male. Big beards and, you know, like red hats, red caps were very, very common, although, you know, we know that any kind of cap other than red is usually better than seeing a red one, but people describe gnomes as having red hats, which is why they get mistaken for red caps a lot, and people see, you know, a gnome and they think, oh, how sweet, and then they cut your head off. But gnomes don't do that. Gnomes are very sweet and kind. Like I said, 2 to 3 feet tall, beards, very wise faces. They're often described as having like big noses and like bushy eyebrows. There are a lot of writers in the early and late 18th century that describe them as being ugly, which is rude, you know. They would often compare people, you know, who were like less attractive to like gnomes and stuff like that, which is so rude. I think it's just incredibly rude. I think their features are probably just not classically beautiful to humans, although I think a gnome is a beautiful face. Any kind of wise, kind face is a gorgeous face to me, you know what I mean? Think about Grandmother Willow. Gosh, wasn't Grandmother Willow just so beautiful with that face? Like, man, I just want you to tell me a story and tell me everything's gonna be okay, sweet gnome Grandmother Willow. Oh, that was in the 1500s, so that is that was when people just started talking about gnomes as we know them now. They did in ancient Rome also have a fertility god, Priapus, who I guess had a gnome-like look, and there were statues of Priapus all over Roman gardens and stuff like that, and he was the fertility god, so they had him everywhere to, like, you know, bless their crops, bless their gardens, bless their lives, you know. He's also the god of floors, which is quite interesting, but since they had all of these statues over there, you know, all around the garden and stuff like that, people that were traveling, people that were coming to Rome to visit or to explore or whatever, saw these and, you know, equated that to a gnome. And so that's when people started to put garden gnomes all over their gardens and stuff like that. The 1500s, isn't that crazy? And we still do it today. We still have garden gnomes everywhere. And they changed a lot from back then. I mean, I feel like they used to create garden gnomes, or gnomes that were kind of like life-size, you know what I mean? Like 2 feet tall gnomes that would guard their entrances and guard around their homes, because they are also really great protection symbols. And then over the years, people who were really rich or who had, you know, lots of huge lands would get like hundreds of gnomes and just put them all over their lands. It was kind of like a status symbol. If you had like 25 gnomes and you were like the G or whatever, you know, which is so hilarious. It's so hilarious to think about the things that were popular and that like made you cool. Like, yo, baby, hey, I got like 50 gnomes at home, you know what I'm saying? 50, oh my God, that's a lot of gnomes. I know. Like, what? Fun little conversation starter. We know how the garden gnome got started, but what about gnomes themselves? Like, what do they do as the earth elemental? Because when we talk about elementals and they're kind of like their symbolic creature, gnomes are earth, you know, sylphs are air, salamanders are fire. And they have this beautiful sort of career of taking care of things that are underground. They are said to live very deep underground. They are said to like gather by trees underground. That's like their area where they like go and like hang out and like drink and party. They have such interesting sensibilities. They are often described as being just like people, just like you and me, just small, and with the desire and like the need and the kind of like drive to take care of things that are growing. On the surface of the earth, there are creatures that take care of the plants and things that are growing above. Gnomes take care of everything below. So they're working on seeds, they're working on roots, they're working on soil, they're working with worms and bugs and things of that nature. They're also creating the beautiful crystals and stones and rocks that just like make our eyeballs freak out. You know, they are working deep in the ground, working on foundations. So they have such a wonderful energy for working on anyone's foundation. Like if you're working on buying a house, building a life for yourself, you know, becoming independent, becoming strong, like anything that you're doing that is like setting a foundation, gnomes, work with those gnomes. I'm telling you, they're great. Something that I find super interesting about them is that it's said that they can just walk through the earth. You know, they don't have to like dig, you know, like what is this? They don't have to dig. They can move through the earth the same way that people just walk through the air. You know, they just move right through any, you know, area that they want to get to. They can kind of just like flow through the earth, which is fascinating. Like, can you imagine what that would be like? No, but it's such an interesting thing to think about. Something that they just absolutely adore is just helping things to grow and, you know, become produced, and just really working on that origin of everything that we see up here, which is just very beautiful, very, very beautiful. And like I said before, they're known to be very shy, you know, standoffish, but we have so many accounts of gnomes being like cheeky and cute and kind of like peeking out and like giving you like a little view. There's some really great stories in Iceland about people being able to see gnomes, and gnomes just kind of poking out and giving you a little bit of a taste of what they look like, giving you a little taste of that world, and then just piecing out. You know, very good natured, very just like I know you know. Okay, bye. You know, just giving you like a little taste, a little thing, which I think is so cute. I think it's so cute. It's very endearing, and it does give you that like that sense of friendship, a sense of family, that sense of like we are kind of here working alongside you, and like we're cool with that, which is nice. Like, there are some really interesting and amazing different types of fairy creatures, but gnomes, they're generally very kind, and so it's kind of like a really nice, easy step into that world. And then you may just want to stay there. You may just want to stay with gnomes, you know. I feel like gnomes are pretty similar throughout different cultures. Some cultures, however, do say that gnomes are one of those types of creatures that enjoy work being given to them. Like they prefer it if you give them jobs, you know, specifically for them to do. It's like what they desire. And if you think that, or if you feel like you have that kind of an energy with a gnome, or you're like, okay, I would like to, you know, command a gnome to do something. Anything earth-based is really nice. You know, they like to take care of gardens, obviously, of plants, but also insects very much. And if you're inviting that energy into your space or anything like that, gnomes do like a good, they do like a good ale, you know? They like to dig, and then like to have a good ale at the end of the day. You know what else is really funny? Gnomes, like the craze for gnomes died down a little bit around the 18th century, and then they had this huge resurgence after Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs came out. Like, isn't that hilarious? People loved the Seven Dwarfs so much that they went out and just started buying gnomes like crazy all over again. That's why we have so many gnomes, like gnome things now, today, because of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which cracks me up. I love Snow White. Side note, I absolutely adore her. She was my first like Disney princess crush. I was like, oh girl. But yeah, Snow White bringing gnomes into the light of everyone's home is like hilarious to me. I love that. You know, it's very intuitive when you're working with anything that works with the earth, anything that commands the earth. Give them that that reassurance that you are a nature lover, and they will come and they will hang out, and they are the best. They're such great protection. Like gnomes, as well as gargoyles, we all know, are great symbols of protection. So placing them outside of your home, in your garden, you know, on your porch, that is a symbol of protection right there. That is having something, an energy kind of looking out and watching the area around your home. Really nice energy to have. You know what? I do have a gnome that a lovely subscriber sent to me too. I just remembered. He's up here. Look at him! He's so cute. Look at his little whiskers. They're sticking up. He's so cute. I love him. So adorable. Oh, you little cheeky little so-and-so. You cheeky little so-and-so. He's got a little bottle of fairy dust too. Look. Oh, I love him. Another great practice that I love is if you do have the element symbols on your altar, earth, air, fire, water, placing a gnome in the earth section is a wonderful marker for your earth element on your altar, or even just like in the corners of your home. If you're doing like the elements in the four corners of your home, planting a gnome right where the earth element is perfect. It's a wonderful representation. Definitely recommend doing more research on gnomes. They're absolutely adorable. Great energy to have. Just that wonderful, sweet, wise grandpa energy, that wholesome, loving, I like to take care of things energy. I just absolutely love that. And talking about gnomes is like really exciting for me. So I'm excited and happy about it. But please go out and check out some gnomes for yourself. Now when you go to the garden store, you see some gnomes, you'll have a different view on what they are and like what they do and what they think about. Rocks. They think about rocks and seeds all day. I think it's also a really great thing to paint your gnomes yourself, like give them their own personality, give them a name. If you buy one from the store, paint it and give it a very specific job guarding your home, and not just any home in general. When you get them, you know, they're just kind of like general gnomes, but you can make it so personal to you. And you can also put a little piece of black tourmaline with them outside too, for a little extra protection. Really nice. Okay, my lovely loves, I'm going to end this video here. I hope you enjoyed my little blurb about gnomes. If you have gnomes at your house, please let me know in the comment section. Did you name your gnomes? Did I name this gnome? I think I did, but I don't remember what I named him now. Name him in the comments because I don't remember what I named him. Name my little pastel gnome in the comments and I will give him a little name tag. Okay, my loves, have a beautiful, magical day. Mwah!